All righty. So again, we're doing what's called Walk Through the Bible. I'm not the inventor of this, but just to kind of give just little parts to help you remember. She wants to get her feet out of that. She is plunging into the Mediterranean Sea. All righty. So all righty. So again, I do have blanks for you. Again, I do not have any sheets. This is the prayer sheet, but I'll put it here. I mean, because if I can't do this for memory, how can I expect you to do it? But here's something I also want you to realize: what you're doing is just like here's bullet points, but with each one of these, there's a wealth of stories. And I want to try to explain that. Now the first part we did yesterday. There were some. Like with the Noah story. That's 2.5 chapters right there. Out of Genesis. And all we said is flood. And that's all we said. But just realize, we know the story. It again helps you. Oh, this is where this happens. And so again, I want if you could, because again, you can't do it unless you're watching me, and needing room for your hands to be able to move and stuff like that. I'm not making you stand up. When I went to the conference, they said, "All right, everybody, stand up. Let's do it again." So I'm not making you do that. You don't have to do that. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I know my audience. So again, for review. We're going to do it quickly. No, we'll go slower through what we did last week. Through the motions, but what I want to do is kind of share, and this is what happened, not instead of just saying the one word or the one little phrase, okay? So, everybody's ready. You get your hands down here, and you're going to go up to the top with creation, okay? And then after creation, 7 days, then fall. That man sinned to the world and the impact of that, as well as God's answer to that. Generations go by, and then the wickedness gets worse and worse and worse, and God judges the world with a flood. And after the flood, and God says, "Go out everywhere." Okay, you keep your hands up here. Go out everywhere. No, they stay in one place. They build a tower, and God divides them. Nations. Okay, so we have flood nations. And after that, about 4,000 years ago, in a city, and again, the map is against the wall here, and so the city's right about here. You're pointing to wherever you are. Don't point over there. Point to the map that's on the wall.
My map.
No, you're my map. My map. Okay. All righty. My map is right here, and that's and right under Persian Gulf. Okay. And let's stick your finger in there. What do you taste? Salt. And that spells, but Sarah, Abraham, Lot, Terah. And those 4 individuals are very important because they go from up. There's a Tigris River and there's a Euphrates River. They go up the Euphrates River to a city called Haran, and that's where Terah dies. Okay. And after that, God calls Abraham to go into what we call the Promised Land. And again, taking a closer look at the Promised Land by taking that map and inserting it on the floor here. Okay? And so you have, about where my podium is, the Sea of Galilee. You have the Jordan River. Everybody here's got their feet in the Jordan River. And then, except at the end of the table there, you have the Dead Sea. And over here, Sarah jumped, and she jumped into the water because you had the Mediterranean Sea. I think Nikki's out of the water there, and we'll talk about that later. But all in there, they're in the Mediterranean Sea. And the area will be ultimately called Israel. Okay? So that's basically what. Now we're going to go to the story of, I want to say Abraham, Sarah, but Sarah and Abraham and Lot, in just a moment. But now we're going to do the same thing we just did because we have to have review or else you're going to forget it and stuff like that. So now without a little bit of explanation, connecting, let's just do it really, not quick, but without interruption. So ready? Creation, fall, flood, nations, 4,000 years ago, Persian Gulf, Salt, Sarah, Abraham, Lot, Terah, Tigris, Euphrates, Haran, Terah dies. Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Israel. Okay, so now we've got the maps where things are. I do appreciate Doug and Regina, you remembered to wave because you were in one of the seas. So remember that. Yeah, I saw one hand. Yeah, I saw it. That's good. It was good. Alrighty, now. So again, one of the things about this, and I appreciate for memory's sake, so a lot of the motions just kind of flow one to the other. They don't always do that, but it helps. And so what I try to give is also things. Okay, we just said Israel. Okay? Now, that starts with what letter? Eyes. Let's talk about our eyes. We're going to use eyes to remember because we have two children that were born by Sarah and Abraham. You have Ishmael and Isaac. Okay? So right after saying Israel, we start going into the story. We jump ahead in the story and say Ishmael, Isaac. Again, let me let you write because there are some blanks I gave you. Did I miss any? Because this is new. So now we just jumped. Oh, he's meeting somebody about cemetery stuff. So we're good. Yeah, that was plain. So the last we heard, Sarah, Abraham, and Lot after Terah died, they were called to go. They come into what we now know as Israel. We got the map in front of us. And these are the different stories that we know of Abraham and Sarah that God promised and said, I'm going to bless all nations through you. You're going to have a child. And it's going to, so various times he promises all these things. Here's the thing. When Abraham came to what we call Israel, but it's not called that yet, he was 75 years old. And Sarah I think was maybe 65 at that time, and they're going, wow, okay, we believe you. Yeah, we'll do that. Well, time goes on and keeps going on. And nothing's happening. I think when he's about 87 years old, he starts going, hey, God, I'm going to have my servant be my heir. And God said, no. You, through your loins, there you will have a son. Well, again, this is not in the Bible, but I can say, hey, Sarah, guess what? God said, well, not through this body. Anyway, again, I just imagine those conversations happening. And she says, here's my handmaiden, Hagar. Now, the name Hagar brings back memories of reading the funnies, and stuff like that, and there was Hagar the Horrible. And so I kind of picture her, not with the red beard and all that stuff, but, it was a horrible situation that created actually issues we have to this day with the issues of the descendants of Ishmael so anyway, so all of these things are happening. Again, I'm just trying to explain from after drawing the map, and we're suddenly at Ishmael and Isaac. So they have the child Ishmael, and when he's 13, about 13 years old, then God says, no, it's through Sarah. Now, Abraham at this point is 99 years old. Sarah's 90. Yeah, she was kind of a, wow, really, at 65? Well, now we're at 90. It says, and Sarah laughs, and it's so funny. One of those things that, God shows up in these three people, couple angels and God, coming in form, human form. And it's just like, why did you laugh? And then she said the dumbest thing. I didn't laugh. It's like, I didn't sin. I didn't, it's like God couldn't see that, It's just, yes, you laughed, And it's so funny because then a year later, she has a child. What's his name? Isaac. So you have Ishmael and Isaac, okay? And his name means laughter. And so it's kind of neat, that all that kind of ties together. Now, between the time that God promised and the time that this baby is born, God has to deal with Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, Sodom and Gomorrah you see that welcome sign back there? That's on the other side of the Dead Sea. Sodom and Gomorrah. And it's where Lot decides to settle and compromised a lot. And so there are a lot of bad situations that occurred. I won't go into all of it, but God came to judge them, and that's when Lot had to flee. His wife was turned into a pillar of salt because she turned back, and God said, "Don't turn back." So all the stories happen. So that's kind of like some of the mini stories between Aaron, Terah died, and the Sea of Galilee, and all that. So right after that is when Isaac was born, and so you have Ishmael, and you have Isaac. Later on, when Isaac, they had a special celebration being weaned, and Ishmael started joking about it, and that's when Sarah's like, out of here, you're out of here, and all that. And God promised, though, that he would still take care of them, but they're kind of out of the story temporarily for now. So after Haran, where Terah died, God gave Abraham and Sarah 2 children. Well, not Ishmael and Isaac. And Isaac is now the child of the promise. And so after a while, he gets a wife. We're not going to go into the story there, but they have twins. And actually, Rebecca, his wife, is like going, "Oh man, what's going on here?" I mean, it's just, and the Lord shares with her that there's fighting, there's struggle there, and that the older will serve the younger, and so when she gives birth, and again, I just don't totally try to picture this, but the first one is born. His name is Esau. And when he grows up, he has rough hair. In fact, that was one way his father knew if he was talking to Esau. He can just rub his arm, and it was probably, it's like, just like petting a cow or something, and so, I don't know. You tell me another way to describe it, because, they kind of put hides on his arm. He's like, yeah, that's Esau, so that's our, we're going to have Esau. And yet then the second born, his name was Jacob. He was more of smooth skin. Okay. So we have Esau and we have Jacob. Now, yeah, they fought from the womb. Okay. Esau was born first. Now, what pops out next, or not quite next, at the same time when they're pulling Esau out, again, don't try to picture it totally. The next thing coming out with him is an arm holding on to the heel coming out. Now, that's not one of the motions, and later on that's Moses. But anyway, he's coming out and all that, and Jacob kind of, there's a play on words of he's a tripper upper, he's a heel grabber, he's a manipulator. That's where he gets his name Jacob, and from day one he's trying to trick and twist things around, so and stuff like that. And the story with Esau and Jacob, that he tricked Esau into giving his birthright, and then he tricked his father into giving the blessing. And after that, Esau said, "You're dead. You're dead. Once Dad's dead, you're dead." And so Jacob ends up going back to this region where family was, and then he finds Leah and Rachel, and they have two others, and they have a bunch of kids, okay, and then they come back. So all that's not in there because all we have is this. You have Ishmael and Isaac, and then Isaac has Esau, and I'm sorry, I'm already going to the next one. Jacob. Now Jacob has 12 sons, and the one that I want to mention is the one that kind of prominent in the story, and his name is Joseph. Joseph was the favorite son. It was the firstborn of his favorite wife, and so this is why we hold our Jack, because he gave him a multicolored cloak and stuff like that, and made his brothers jealous and all this other stuff, and they got super mad at him, and they ended up selling him as a slave, and he went to Egypt. Now, where is Egypt in relationship around here, in the Sea of Galilee here, and this is the north? I would say right when you go into the stairwell. That's Egypt, okay? So seeing our map and stuff like that. So we have Ishmael, Isaac, Esau, Jacob, Joseph, Egypt. And he has to go to Egypt, and God made him go to Egypt. And you have all these stories of what happened to him, Potter's wife. You have he's blessed no matter where he goes, even though where he goes is not good, like even jail. But he ends up being the one, the second under Pharaoh, and being able to distribute food during this great famine, which caused the rest of the brothers to come to Egypt as well. And so we have not only Joseph to Egypt, we have the Jews. And again, that's not technically right, because Jews are really just from Judah, but we'll just call it that. Jews, Egypt as well. So we have Ishmael, Isaac,
Joseph, Egypt, Jews.
All right. Hey, you're doing great. I don't not even have to say that. So then we have a period that they are there. And again, when I put these years up, remember this is what we do for the years? They're estimations, guesstimations. It's not exact, but 400 years. All right. So they're in Egypt. Yeah, you have 4,000 years ago in Ur. And now they're in Egypt for 400 years. Bondage. Yes, that is a blank. Write your blank. We'll hold it there. So, initially they were there. The Pharaoh was like, welcome, come on in and all that. But then another family of Pharaohs came. They forgot all the blessing that Joseph brought to the country of Egypt. And so they, over time, started getting them into bondage more and more. And they cried out to the Lord and stuff like that. And then God sent Moses. Got to say it right, though. Moses, okay? All right, so after that 400 years of bondage, we have Moses. All right, there you go. That's the way you got to do it. Moses. And his basic message was, let my people go. Okay? And what was Pharaoh's answer?
No.
No, that's a blank. That's no. All righty. So Moses, let my people go. No. Now you're in this bush because this is how all Egyptians walk around, unless they're doing this, So God brings on to them, and one of them was like the gnats and stuff like that, but we kind of do it just kind of picking at your arm, 10 plagues. Okay, so you got the 10 plagues, with the last one being Passover. Okay, so fill out those blanks and all that. So you have the 10 plagues, Passover, and Passover brings out that's when they get out of Egypt, and they get stuck. God leads them to a place where they're stuck. They're at a dead end. They're at the Red Sea. And the Egyptians change their mind. They're coming after. And God parts the waters. And so we have the Red Sea. All right, you got that parting of the water. That Red Sea. And God leads them. Again, there's stories between of them, griping about not getting enough water or food or whatever. And so, but that leads them to Mount Sinai, where God gives them the law. The law. Fill out those blanks, law. So, Mount Sinai, law. Okay, I think that was the last one I put on your sheet. We are already, when we went from Genesis 20 to Exodus 20, where the Ten Commandments are given. So that's as far as we went. We basically went a whole book's worth of going through that today. So let's go through again just tonight. Now again, the first night we had 19 of these. Tonight we have 13. Next week we have 11. Because we're adding to it, and I don't want to overdo it and stuff like that. But after the Mediterranean Sea, Israel, Ishmael, Isaac, Esau, Jacob, Joseph, Egypt, Jews, Egypt, 400 years bondage. Moses, let my people go.
Hit the road.
No. 10 plagues, Passover, Red Sea, Mount Sinai, law. And you see how everything kind of flows one right to the other and stuff like that. So let me make sure you got all your blanks and all that other stuff. And we're going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go through the whole thing a couple more times. But again, if you walk up to somebody and say, let me tell you the Old Testament, and you just do these basic words, they're going to go, I'm not understanding. And that's why I kind of redid last week's and just saying, and then they had this, and here's some stories, and but let's go from the very beginning. You know what happens at the beginning, right? At the beginning we have creation, fall, flood, nations, 4,000 years ago, Persian Gulf, salt, Sarah, Abraham, Lot, Terah, Tigris, Euphrates, Haran, Terah dies. Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Mediterranean Sea. I just add the word sea. Mediterranean Sea, Israel, Ishmael, Isaac, Esau, Jacob, Joseph, Egypt, Jews, Egypt, 400 years, bondage. Moses, let my people go.
Hit the road.
No. 10 plagues, Passover, Red Sea, Mount Sinai, law. Got that?
Sure.
All right, who wants to come up and do it? I was kidding. Now, I like that one. Moses. I like the Red Sea. Yeah. So,
Are you ready for it, Greg?
now again, like I said last week, this is just putting the hangers in the closet, and all the stories that go along with it, which I just touched on some of them, are what if you know where all the hangers are, and you already know all the stories. Now you know where the flow of the whole story is going through the Old Testament. So we're at number what on your sheet? And I did make sure the numbers worked. 32. That was 79 of 79. So we're almost there. Huh? 79 is what of these is what we're doing. So
He spoke.
Oh,
I said we're about halfway there.
yeah.
That's because I'm a
Yeah,
mathematician.
39. Yeah, anyway. Hey. All righty, yeah. Wanda always checks my math and finds it in error. But again, let me encourage you. Practice. It does make a difference. And here's something you can do we couldn't do before. You go online, you go to Google, you pull up the Wednesday night thing, the Wednesday night messages, you scroll down to this, and you watch it all over again if you need it. Right? You have that ability. If you're going, I can't remember how to now, stuff like that, And don't worry, for every time you watch, $5. That's okay, I'll take it. No, I'm just kidding. So again, y'all want to go through one more time?
Yes.
See, isn't that wonderful? No one said, no, please, no, please, no. All right, we have time. I just didn't hear it. All right, now again, do you want to... I'm not going to speak it. I'm just going to go through the motions. But you guys are. Righty? You're saying, of course, you got to do the motions. You can't do that.
We thought we should be saying.
No. We're all doing the motions. I'm not speaking the words, but you guys are. Okay? That way you're not going, stuff like that. So, all right, here we go. Ready?
Creation, fall, floods, nations, 4,000 years ago, Persian Gulf, Salt, Sarah, Abraham, Lot, Terah, Tigris, Euphrates, Heron, Paradise, Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Israel, Ishmael, Isaac, Esau, Jacob, Joseph, Egypt, Jews, Egypt, 400 years, bondage, Moses, let my people go. No, 10 plagues, Passover, Red Sea, Mount Sinai, law.
Y'all did great. So just practice that at home. You got a sheet that gives you all the words, and I'm sure if you even just have that, that'll help you and stuff with that. So, all right, let's pray, and then there's a little bit.
Back in the car going, Moses.
Yeah. Like I said, I've done this in front of my dogs, and they're like, okay, they're starting to do the motions now. Anyway, all right, let's pray. Jesus, again, we're doing this because we want to just have a grasp of the whole picture of your story that is in the Bible. And I know your story even is beyond the Bible, but it is your inspired word. And so help us to grasp and to connect all the stories that we've learned, most of us, all our lives, and putting them in place. So again, just having the whole picture together. I pray in your name, amen.